There you are. All right,
Oh,
so we're live.
before we go live, let me fix my thing so my alarm doesn't go off. Hold on.
Okay. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
All
Thanks, guys, for
right.
being here.
Hey.
Okay, we're being shared on Facebook.
Oh, we are? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Hello.
Hey, RJ, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Yeah, no, like I was telling you, more than anything else, like I said, it's not like a formal interview where I have a series of questions that I got to go down and ask you about. In reality, it's just a conversation that I want to have with you. It just so happens we're doing it in front of a camera. That's the only difference. And
Great. I love
and,
it.
it, and it's a way for us to get to know each other better. I know that we've kind of talked and been guests on each other's streams and stuff like that in the past. We've been on other people's streams together, but we've never really have had a one-on-one conversation. And
No, we have not.
so that's kind of the plan for tonight. And it's getting to know Jesse a little bit better. For those of you that are just joining us, this is CorydorableCaliAquariums, and
Hello.
better known as Jesse to us in the community. And for those of you that are not aware of this, Jesse has quite a following on Instagram. And I know you guys do. You and your co-host have a show, what, every Friday night?
Yeah, it's every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific with RJ. So that's at Real Raphael Josh on Instagram, and Tiger Tina is our moderator. And we've been doing it at 7 p.m. for like almost a year now.
Yeah, and I remember. I'm kind of what I haven't been able to pinpoint. I don't know if I came across you first on YouTube or if was it on Instagram. Which one have you been doing the longest?
So I've been doing YouTube the longest.
Mm.
I think you found me on YouTube and then maybe messaged me on Instagram because
Yeah.
I had like a really small account. My account started because I wanted to purchase a Corydora online, and I was really concerned about ordering this live catfish through the mail. I thought it was really bizarre to order a live animal, and I was super worried it was going to come in dead and like traumatize me. So I decided to publish the whole thing as like a video.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I got started on YouTube.
So who was your first purchase from online?
It was from Aquahuna.
Oh, okay.
And I love them. I would still shop there today. I haven't placed an order from them in a while because I'm super overstocked right now. But I love being their customer for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I was always impressed with your videos. I know when you were doing them, I was for me not knowing how long you had been on YouTube, watching your videos, I could have sworn you had been doing this for a very long time. And it wasn't until we had a
Really?
conversation that I realized that we had almost started up at the same time. But the way you carried yourself and the way you presented all your information, for me, it was like somebody that's been doing this for years. And
Ah.
when did you start?
Well, I started as far as fish
No,
keeping
the
or
videos.
YouTube? The
Yeah, the
videos.
YouTube stuff.
Okay, so the videos I started a little over probably about a year and a half ago. About a year and a half ago, I started making the videos. What prompted it not only was the catfish thing, I was nervous about buying the catfish, but I had just taken this public speaking course where we had to do everything on camera.
Oh,
And I was very uncomfortable in front of the camera. I have spoken at like smaller conferences and things like that for my job, but I had never felt comfortable being on camera, which recently has become like a requirement of living in the world because we're all on Zoom, we're all on these lives, like we found a way to connect despite being divided by the pandemic.
yeah.
And it was kind of like I was sending out these little messages in a bottle because I felt completely trapped in my house. And I was afraid to go out and get COVID. And so I just started this wild fish keeping journey. I mean, I've been a fish keeper since I was like 7, but I just decided to televise it. So
Well, and going to that, so I know in the conversations that we've had, you've actually, as a child, were starting to keep stuff. Well, what I think it's so interesting is that you were actually doing what's starting to trend now, which is going out into nature and doing,
Yes,
wild specimen collections. Which is
right.
funny because that's originally how this hobby gets started, but yet it's amazing to see how many years after that it kind of away from that, and now it's becoming like a trend to actually go back out and collect your own specimens.
Totally. I totally agree. I think right now I think it's part of having those biotope or biotype tanks in popularity right now. People are trying to get a more natural look, which has always been my aesthetic. My aesthetic is not a manicured scape. My aesthetic is as close to like a river bottom as possible. So if I can get actual product from nature, like it was a lot easier to collect when I lived in other areas. Santa Barbara has a lot of prohibitions on collecting. So if you collect at the beach here, fish and wildlife, or there's a part that's preserved for the Native Americans. There's like a part that's preserved by the Coastal Commission. You just don't want to collect here. It could be bad news. So I have been recently just mostly buying stuff, but I love collecting more than I love buying because I actually like going out into nature. I like finding that unique rock, that unique piece of wood. I also like experimenting a little bit with like new botanicals. I usually try them in a very safe way so that my fish or shrimp or whatever I'm doing harmed, but I do try them in stages. Like first I try them with a few ram's horn snails. Then I might try a few Medaka rice fish in there after it's soaked for a while. But I think once you learn general practices to be safe about collecting, there's a lot of ways to do it. And one of the ways I love to do it actually is I love going to like quarries. That's one of my favorite places to get like substrate and rock material is at quarries because I can just get whatever I want there for bulk prices, fill up my trunk. It's inert, so unless they've accidentally sprayed it with like
Yeah.
pesticides, then it should be safe and you should wash it and clean it. But I've had a lot of luck buying like Mexican river pebbles, various substrates, like some kind of flagstone. I always buy flagstones there. It's just like a really great way to source affordable materials for everybody. And these tiles, they're actually huge pleco caves, but they're
Okay.
not pleco caves. They're from a building supply, and they're actually like they're used in construction to either sometimes they are called sewer tiles because they used to make clay sewer pipes. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they're called sewer tiles, but sometimes they're just called like a terracotta decor because they put it in the Mexican style terracotta and the Mexican style homes here in Santa Barbara as accents. So we have all these wonderful like roof tiles that are the perfect size for your plecos. So like, why not? Why buy a pleco cave when I can just go get these huge ones for like half the price?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just, that's one of the cool things about the hobby is that the only thing that limits you is your imagination. And
Right.
it's I've seen some really ingenious stuff being used, and some stuff that I look at is like, how did they come up with this idea that that was going to work for what they're doing it? Because it would have never crossed my mind in 100 years. So,
Right.
and that's what's so neat about the hobby in itself is that there's more than one way to do this. Uh, that's why I'm not a subscriber to, when people say, "Oh, this is the only way you can do something." I've been in the hobby long enough to know and see that there's more than one way to do things and get them done and be
Yes.
successful. Um, you know,
Yes. I agree 100%. And like, I think your kitty litter idea, and I think that's a great example. Like if
Well,
you can find something that's like totally clay based and 100% natural, it there is the potential that you can use it in an aquarium. There's also, I've never been that fish keeper that says this is the right way, this is the wrong way. If your fish are thriving, if they're healthy, if they're reproducing, then you're probably doing the right thing. If you're losing livestock, you may be doing the wrong thing. So, I mean, if people have healthy tanks, that's what I love to see.
yeah. Well, going back to that kitty litter, I'm not going to take any credit whatsoever about that.
Okay.
That's just information that I found
Okay.
that I found interesting. Actually, the whole kitty litter stuff, if I'm not mistaken, this goes back almost to the 70s when they were started keeping fish, that they've been using it. But
Uh-huh.
like everything else in our hobby, it all goes through these trends. It's like fashion.
Yes.
And I think I've been in the hobby long enough now to see how these cycles go up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when I first started looking at the hobby, I think it was right at the end when canister filters had really hit its peak. Because
Oh, okay.
I don't care what YouTuber I saw, canisters this, canisters that, how to modify canisters, all how to all these things about canisters, and then all of a sudden you start seeing it change over, and then it's like sponge filters this, sponge filters that,
Right, right.
and then recently we're seeing a resurgence back of underground filters. Well, underground
Yes.
filters were in style when I
In
started
my
back in.
era.
Mhm. So it's
Yes.
funny because it's all cyclical. It's like fashion, like the 70s
Yes.
always come back, the 80s have come back. Now the 90s are starting to make a comeback. Well, I think our hobby kind of goes through those same peaks and valleys, and not only with filtration, but also the type of escapes we're doing, the type of fish we're doing.
Fish. Mm-hmm.
Because fish also become trendy. You start seeing all of a sudden. I remember. I might have been coming in also at the same time that we're talking about canisters. It seemed like it was a tail end of flower horns because I guess flower
Oh,
horns have
yeah.
been very big, and it seemed like
Huge.
all the big channels had a flower horn as the main fish for the room or whatever. And now it's kind of I've seen it go from that to arowanas to um, some of them were keeping the monster fish. It was like the whole thing was monster fish, and there's still a big community that is keeping monster fish, and and then but it's just you see all these trends that go and come. Um,
Yes.
right now, and this is a conversation that me and Steve have all the time, where we're always talking about what do we see coming down the pike. It's just based on, and it's all based on what I'm starting to see, not only overseas that is becoming popular, because it always seems to start overseas first, and then it
Mm-hmm.
kind of migrates this way to the United States. And
Right. Because we're not like the primary fish keepers in the globe. I would
well,
say it's
we're a
it's
little bit
kind of
different.
like we're different. And one of the things we're going to do on my show soon is we're going to start talking about the differences between Singaporean fish keeping that RJ is learning about going to local fish stores and in the US because practices are very different country to country.
Yeah, one of the biggest differences is the fact that we keep multiple huge tanks. That's a very American thing to do because as
Mm,
much as I started, because I've in the short time that I've been on social media, I've already established connections. I have people that I know that are in Spain, people that I know in Mexico, people that I know are in South America. Um, and in talking with them, one of the things that they always find fascinating, especially about Americans, is why do you have so many tanks?
right,
Why
right,
this concept of fish rooms is kind of like a very odd uh, concept for them.
right.
And the way we keep tanks is very different. And I think a lot of it has to do because we do have MTS, as RJ says, is because we're keeping so many tanks that we don't focus on just on one single tank. You go to the European countries, they have one, maybe two aquariums for the most part, but they're so focused. So you look at their aquariums, and that's why they tend to be
Perfect.
little. a little bit more into the aquascaping of an
Yes.
aquarium,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the times that is, excuse me, that is the centerpiece in their home.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And also the big difference is their square footage for homes is very different than here in the United States. It's
Oh, yes.
when we think about homes in Europe, it's like thinking homes in New York, where it's
Right,
maybe
right, right, right.
like a studio 1 bedroom apartment. The further west coast you get, the bigger the spans, and you have these massive
Right.
homes that allow us to have a garage, a luxury that a lot of us will take for granted on the west coast, that not everybody on the east coast has, is a garage. And
I do not take that luxury for granted ever. I love my garage. Because here in California, it's actually expensive to have a place that has a garage because
nowadays,
real estate is pricey in California. And when I think of the prices, you just have to be able to afford or be established to get a garage here. So I like thank my garage for being in my life like every day because I didn't have one. We didn't have a garage growing up, and I didn't have like a picket fence or a front yard to mow or anything. So like my fish keeping started very, very basic. I had a single mom with not a ton of money. So I was like living in a little apartment or condo, and, I didn't have a ton of space, which is why I got into this hobby. I could not have a dog. I wanted a dog. So I'll tell you right now, when I was 5 or 7, whenever I started asking for an aquarium, I don't remember exactly what age it was, but I know I had to talk my mom into it because it was another pet. And we could not have a dog. She just said absolutely no to the dog. So I decided to try fish keeping, snake keeping. I had mice, I had hamsters, I had everything. Like my room was a zoo. So fish keeping just became my favorite over time. I found I didn't love to handle the reptiles as much as I felt they should be handled if you're going to be a home reptile keeper. Um, I just fell in love with the fish though. There's like unlimited things you can do, and you can do it in a small space. Yes, we get a little bit overkill here in the US with our multiple tank syndrome. I have like 30 aquariums at this point. It's pretty absurd. But to me, it's like been my creative outlet for the last year. And I don't have any other major hobby besides fish keeping. So I'm just so into this that I love the idea of also hearing about, you were talking about people in Spain and other countries, how they care for fish. Also, they have like when I lived in Europe, you were talking about how other countries have less real estate. They value a smaller property, and they value using their money for other investments. So, like when I lived in Germany, my host family was a lovely family, double income. They were doing quite well. They had the smallest house that they needed. They did not have a fancy show off house with like 3 guest rooms, nothing like that. And their value system was to travel. So they traveled a lot. And when I lived in Europe, I realized I knew nothing about the US because they had been to more states in the US than I had been.
yeah.
And I think that's actually pretty common when you go to countries like Europe, where they value things like maybe traveling a little more than we value, say, having a big house. So it's just a cultural difference.
Well, one of the things that I also find interesting, especially when it comes to aquariums, um, I know in Mexico having an aquarium is kind of a luxury,
Yes.
and the reason saying that is because of the cost.
Yes.
It's something that we take for granted here, where we can wait for the dollar per gallon sales that these big box stores have, and not spend a whole lot of money for a decent sized aquarium.
Right.
Well, like the people down in Mexico, you're talking almost a week's wage for a 10-gallon tank.
Right.
So it does become it's a little bit
Wow.
interesting. It's a little bit interesting the way they they look at fish keeping, because it's a term that we use here in the States. It's a flex. It's it's a way to
It
kind of
is.
say,
It is.
hey, I have this much money that I can spare it on a water box with some fish in there.
Yeah, I do feel like having pets in general is a luxury because you have to have enough for yourself to keep a roof over your head, feed yourself, but then you have to say, okay, I have extra for animal care. I mean, having these fish tanks is not free. I'm not saying that it's the most expensive hobby, but when you start becoming a professional or a proficient fish keeper, you fall into this, I guess, desire to do things the way you think is the best route for your living animals. And then you want to start to have like the medications on hand, or you want to start to have an extra tank in case you need to quarantine. So it kind of, to me, my goal is would be to be somebody like, for an example for me would be Mimi Loves Germany on Instagram. She has all these perfect, beautiful display tanks. I want my fish room to look like that someday. I just have all this random stuff, all these random containers of water. That's how I got started. I'll probably always be that girl that's like operating out of 5-gallon buckets. But I do think we can keep the hobby affordable, but I wouldn't be naive and say like, oh yeah, it's an inexpensive hobby because it's not. Not even if you have like a 10-gallon guppy tank anymore.
Yeah.
It can, you have to be financially prepared to support your animals, whatever they are. And like people need to know how much fish can cost if they want to go that route. But if you're just doing a 10-gallon, it's like way less than having a dog. It's way less energy. It's way less effort. You can still travel. So I think they're like the perfect pet.
Well, what's kind of interesting and neat about it too, though, is based on the type of aquariums you set up and the livestock you're keeping, they can become self-sustaining.
Yes,
Perfect
yes,
example of that. Perfect example of that are like shrimp tanks. Shrimp
yes,
tank. You don't need to feed a shrimp tank if you're doing things right. You don't ever have to drop a single flake of food in there because it'll be self-sustaining. But you got to
yes,
have the right ingredients to be able to pull that off. And what I mean by
right.
ingredients is the setup. You got to have the right plants. You got to have enough of a biofilm buildup within the aquarium so that
Yes,
you have something to graze on. But it's very possible to do that. And what's kind of cool too is if you're doing it right, you don't even need to run a heater. You don't even need to run a filter. It's totally a self-contained enclosure that can sustain
yeah.
life.
It
But
becomes an
obviously,
ecosystem.
yes, but that also comes with experience. It's not something that somebody's going to be able to pull off from day one. That is years of understanding what fish need to be able to pull that off, and understanding what the cycling of an aquarium, the needs, when to do a water change, when not to do a water change, based on what you're feeding.
Right. Right. And I think what you're talking about is the difference between a cycled aquarium and a seasoned aquarium.
Hmm.
Because shrimp, when I think seasoned aquarium, I think a tank that's maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months old, has the biofilm, has some algae, has some life, has some like little bugs growing in it. I want to see that stuff. I am not a sanitary fish keeper at all. I want to see the crustaceans, the bugs, the little wormy things, the detritus worm, everything, because I feel like it just all works in conjunction to make a beautiful aquascape. And you know that they eat those little bugs, or it's just like a snack for them. So when you have a seasoned aquarium that's 3, 6, 9 months or longer, you don't have to feed it as much if you're doing something like shrimp or maybe nanofish. So
Yeah,
I
but that
totally agree with that.
it doesn't apply to all fish either. That's the other thing. That's why I'm saying
No,
you need to be
no, yeah,
an experience a hobbyist, because you got to understand there's certain fish you can pull that off with. A lot of your nano
right.
fish you can
Nanofish,
get
yeah.
away with that stuff, but you're not going to do that with an Oscar tank. You're
No,
you're gonna
no,
you're gonna have to at some point be able to supplement feed that fish, because there isn't anything big enough in an enclosed ecosystem that's going to be able to keep it from going from starting. But that's what I'm
Right.
saying. This all comes as you acquire experience and you learn more, because it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. If you're doing it the same way from day one to now, and you've been doing this for 10 years and you didn't learn anything along the way, that doesn't make you experience.
No,
That means
I totally agree. And this
so.
is a hobby that's about a lot of unfortunate failures. So in this hobby, I have made every mistake like once. So it's not for lack of reading, it's not for lack of preparation, but I have had, the heater malfunctions, the CO2 malfunctions. I've had tanks break. I've had just everything. You name it, it's happened. But I think it's made me an individual that's a better problem solver now, just in general, and a better fish keeper, because I'm used to, okay, that didn't work. What are we going to try next? Okay, well, we know so and so did this, and somebody else did that, or you can reach out. Once you have experience and have contacts, it makes the hobby a lot more fun. At least it became more fun for me, but also a lot more entertaining in a way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I didn't have any moderators on my channel. At least the ones that
Oh,
usually moderate for me are not here today.
I
And
wasn't even reading the chat because I didn't want
yeah,
to
I
miss
was.
it.
And so I just made a couple of quick monitors that I know that usually show up on my streams. That's right. I didn't
Yes.
mention RJ is a mandatory. RJ doesn't have a
Oh,
choice.
yeah. Make him a moderator for sure.
All right, RJ, there's your wrench. Wreak your havoc.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try to find this stream so I can watch the chat too.
Yeah. Let me see. I know we've had quite a bit of people coming in, and we haven't really said a lot of hellos. While you do that, let me go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping and welcome our guests.
Yes.
RJ, thank you, sir, for being here. Jimmy
RJ,
P,
what's up?
thank you so much. Mark Storlson, thank you for being here with us today. Coral, thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, that's right. Coral's always on my streams. So, Coral, I got your wrench. Let me see if I can go back
I
to.
don't know Coral. Who's Coral?
He's a I want to say young kid, but he's not a kid. He's a young guy who's very knowledgeable. And the reason I can call him young is because he's probably old enough to be my son.
Okay.
So anybody that's about my kid's age, I consider them still not kids, but they're they're young.
Right.
But you see again, the people are real quick to say, "Oh, that person is young and doesn't know." It's inexperienced. No, you want to know somebody that's young, very young, and has a lot of knowledge. Coral is the person. Coral,
Okay. Yeah. Hit me up on
I
Instagram. I'm
am
not on you. I'm not as much of a YouTuber anymore, but I'm always on Insta. So I would love to meet him or her. I don't know.
Coral, if you're still, it's a he, or yeah, I'm assuming that it's a he. Sorry, nowadays
Well,
we
that's
don't know.
okay. Because a lot of people assumed I was a he for months.
Okay, we're gonna get into that story.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But let me see this, Coral. If you're still here in the stream, just pop up on there because I can't find you on my stream on YouTube, so that I can give you a wrench. And but anyway,
I think he might have left. I don't see him in
he
the
might.
chat.
That's okay because I know he came by real quick earlier and said hi. Rico, thank you for being here. Ian, thanks for being here. Jeff, once again, thank you, sir. I see 3G, thank you. Who else do I have in here? Steve. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Warrior Planet, thanks. Thank you for being here. June. Thank you, June. Actually, June also became a member today. Thank you very much. I don't know what I can offer members as of yet, but thanks for your support. I do appreciate that. I'll have to come up with something, I guess, interesting to be able to, get you guys a little bit of value. Tommy, thank you for being here.
I just realized, did you hit 1,000?
Yeah, I'm almost at 1,200.
Yay! Congratulations! I had no idea because I wasn't watching the numbers, but I didn't see an announcement or anything. Congratulations! That's a huge deal because now that unlocks other features of YouTube, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, I just posted it, but I didn't make a big deal about it. It's just it's nice to be able to get into the that realm, I guess, because it kind of validates what you're doing, and the fact that there's that many people that are interested in probably not hear willing to hear what I have to say, which is
Yes.
always amazing. Um, and it's just it's nice. It's a nice achievement in this community to be able to get to that point. Uh, I think that's even though people say it or don't say it, it is a nice milestone to hit. Um,
Totally.
see, I want to make sure. Oh, Jimmy P, thank you. I think our Mandy, Berto, thank you guys for being
Hello.
here.
Hey,
I
Berto.
want to make sure I didn't skip over anybody. My flock is everywhere. Thank you for being here.
You're
Uh,
so good at remembering people's names. Like you learned my name right away. I only like remember usernames. So
yeah,
I
well,
I still call you Mexicali. Like I just am used to that. So
let's see. Spencer's sister's still here. Thank you for being here. And I think that's everybody. I'm sorry if I didn't. Yeah, I think that's everybody that I can see. And there,
oh,
where,
Rico. Did we say
oh,
Rico Stan already? I saw
yeah,
Rico
Rico.
Stan in the chat.
Yes.
Okay. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know Rico Stan yet. His reputation precedes him though. I have heard about him so much. So I have to meet him one of these days.
Oh, yeah. Well, unless you go to the Keystone Clash, I don't know. I don't think he goes to Acroshellas.
Okay.
He's out of the New York area. Um,
Okay.
Rico actually has a very pivotal role in the community. And the
Yes.
reason I say that is because he's kind of been the gateway for a lot of us to be able to be where we're at today. He's one. This idea of what I'm doing is not my original idea. This is a take on all the work that Rico's been doing for the years that he's been doing this, and it doesn't matter how big he gets. He's always welcoming to everybody that's trying to come into the community.
Right.
And
I agree.
it's one of those things where if it wasn't for channels like him, a lot of us wouldn't really have a place to be able to be spotlighted and allow us to be able to be exposed to a large number of people. Because when you're starting a channel, you don't have the subscribers or the subscriber base to be able to get word of mouth recommendations.
Hmm.
So when somebody like Rico that's got a sizable platform and a sizable audience to be able to grant all of us. And I can go down the list right now of everybody that's about here. Everybody's had an opportunity just about to be spotlighted on this channel.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that he's always willing to do and is to give us that spotlight. As a matter of fact, I just got done seeing one that was real interesting with Pio Aquariums. And it's kind of neat because Pio Aquariums is somebody that Steve connected with these last couple of weekends over there in Texas, and he's eventually going to be a guest in our channel on Fish Plants y Mas. So
Cool.
it was kind of cool to be able to put a face now to the name. That's what I really love about what he does is it allows us the opportunity to put a face to the names that we always see on the sites. Coral's been with Rico. You can go down the list of everybody that's in the chat, and I would say that at least half of the people here, at one point or another, have been a guest on Rico. And like
Yeah.
I said, it's you don't see any other buddy else that's got quite a base of a subscriber base doing that for other up and coming YouTubers.
No, really not. And I totally agree with that. There can't it can be competitive, but what I've noticed is that YouTube is incredibly warm in the fish family. Everybody was really welcoming to me. I don't think I had anybody from the fish fam that was rude. Thanks, Warrior. Go grab a coffee. He says, thanks for
Yeah.
the super chat.
you can tell,
Awesome.
you can tell he watches your stream on Fridays.
He watches my stream on Fridays because we give away coffee on my stream.
No,
And
not only that, that's your beverage of choice.
it is, and I have one right here. All I do is drink hot coffee and clean aquariums like a nutcase. So that's my hobby. But I wanted to say I found YouTube to be extremely warm. I had been bullied off of a Facebook fish group for it's a really long story, but people can be really vicious. I found on Facebook. I don't know what it is about Facebook, but I have had numerous bad experiences on there. So I wasn't willing to try Insta. I had to get talked into trying Insta. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many aquariums. I went crazy. I spent like all night up following 2,000 aquariums or something. I don't know how my account didn't get shut down because my first night on Insta, I subscribed to like 1,000 people. Yeah, I subscribed to like 1,000 people, and then I had this huge regret when I realized, oh, they all pop up in this thing called a feed, and now I'm following 1,000 people I don't know. I should unfollow some of the accounts I'm probably not going to watch as much. So then I had to like do a bunch of unfollowing, which is how I got banned for the first time on Insta.
You know what? I don't unfollow. The only thing that I unfollow, of course, is the soliciting for, do you want to go on a date, whatever, that kind of stuff that you get on.
Oh
on
yeah, right.
those are, and I don't even follow them. I just block them. But other than that, anybody else, if I go on your profile and you got a picture of fish, I'll follow you. I don't care.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And because it's if they're following me, the only thing they're going to see on my Instagram is going to be fish. There's going to be aquariums. I don't really post a whole lot of it. Well, the occasional cigar and drink that I'll have, but that's just
right.
That's but that's still me. That's who I am, and so I don't care about that. And once in a while, I'll give you a little peek, because I adore my grandkids, and and my wife, of course, So I share with people a little bit of what I'm really passionate about. So
yes.
So, but I try to keep the majority of the focus on aquariums. That's what I like. That's what I want to share with everybody that wants to associate themselves with me. And so that there's no misunderstanding. That's, if you're coming to me, that's what you're going to get. It's nothing but stuff.
And that's why most of us are here, because to be honest, I had a lot of friends, but I have never had an aquarium friend ever, not for decades. So when I made my first aquarium friend on here, I felt like the biggest nerd. But as soon as I realized, oh my gosh, there's aquarium keepers that I can chat with on this social media platform, and they do this nerdy thing called exchanging stickers, I'm like, I'm in. I have to get my own stickers. I have to get a logo. I know it's super dorky in some ways, but I really wanted to participate because in a way, I feel like this hobby is like nurturing my inner child. So it's like, why not have a sticker collection while you're nourishing your inner child?
I can see it right behind you. You've got your collection. What's
tons of them.
The one thing that I find fascinating, and that's just because I do walk on both sides of these worlds, and I call them worlds because it's, there's the YouTube community, and then you have your Instagram, and now you have TikTok. And
TikTok.
I do have a little bit of a presence on TikTok, but I don't do as much as I do Instagram and YouTube. And I think one of the I guess you want to say success of my channel or anything like that, that where I've been able to get to today is because I've managed to walk on both sides of that spectrum.
Yes.
And I'm always fascinated when I tell people, hey, if you're not doing anything on Instagram, you should, because there's an equally as large, if not larger, community of fish keepers on Instagram as there is on YouTube.
Yes.
And I don't know.
And they're different people.
They're different people, and both of them have their upsides and downsides.
Yes.
Downsides are always going to be the drama and the chaos that happens, but in reality, it's how much you let it play up and let it bother you that is going to determine how bad it gets. Because if you don't fall into that trap and you don't pursue that, you can leave that, that doesn't have to bother you or phase you at all. And obviously, if you have any bit of intelligence, you can figure out real quick which are the toxic groups and which ones, which ones
Right.
you're gonna be able to associate and assimilate with. And but one of the things that I find fascinating is what you've been doing on Instagram with your shows on Friday, and
Uh-huh.
where it's a given that in the YouTube community, in the fish community, having live streams is so abundant now that there's no way that we could be having this stream without me not being interfering with somebody other stream.
Right.
It is, but it's an understanding now because there's so many of us, and that's good because
Courtesy to not overlap, kind of, if you can.
yeah. But the variety of what's out there, that's what's kind of neat because we're all different. We all have different personalities. Everything that's being live streamed, everybody does it a little bit different, and they offer a little bit different. So at this point, it becomes on the viewers to decide what they want to do, what they want to see.
Yes.
And that's what's really neat about having so many people streaming. It's a little bit of a disadvantage if you have multiple people that you really enjoy watching, but now you got to figure out, okay, where am I going to go? One of my cheats is if you ever look at my computer screen and there's multiple streams going on, don't be surprised if you see me saying hello in multiple streams because I'm watching all of them at the same time.
Really? Okay, so you're like a major multitasker.
Oh, wow, I'm a major slacker because I do it at work.
Okay. We won't publish this. We'll just delete this episode. No evidence.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I see. I like TikTok. College girls are showing me there. Yeah, I know.
I missed that one. I'm gonna have to look at that one. That's for sure.
And TikTok is a little bit different. TikTok, it's. I think this. If you want to look at it as generational, I guess YouTube would be the generations X and Z years, where Instagram, I guess, is more of the millennials, and TikTok is whatever they are now. I don't know what they call them today's generation, but there is a very distinct way of presenting information on all three platforms, and Facebook is for the boomers. It's just
Facebook is for the boomers. Someone called me a boomer on my live show. One of the Beavers, don't think I'm ever going to forget that. But it was probably like the worst cut down I've ever heard because like it was like, do I need to go get my face cream or something? So it was hilarious. But
I'm
like
older than you, and I'm not a boomer, so there's no way in hell.
Okay, yeah, seriously. I'm actually I say I'm Gen X, but some people, it depends what year you were born and that sort of thing. But I consider myself Gen X because I grew up in like the 90s. So, which is when Gen X was growing up with the X Games and, surfing, skating, all that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to let you off the hook because you got to tell the story of your name. Because I love that story when you told us the other day on Instagram, because it really gives you a lot of insight into your dad's humor. And I think your dad and I could probably roll because I think we think alike. And when it comes to that,
my real name, my biological birth name, not my Instagram name. Yes.
No.
No. My father was. I mean, here's the thing, and because you're in the military, you were in the military, you are a veteran, and we have a lot of veteran friends. And the thing is, those of you who are not from a military family, you don't realize how much these guys thrive, guys and girls thrive on punking each other. Like they punk each other in these long,
elaborate
game of chess. And it can be anything, like ranging. But the more slapstick, the less credit you get. But if you can get someone in trouble with their supervising officer, that's hilarious for some reason. Or slip someone some X-Lax, or I don't even know. You guys do, you name it. I've heard the stories about, and I have to say, the Navy, you guys in the Navy, anyone that's listening, you guys are the worst because
Well,
they play these games
well,
for
you just
years.
think about it. They're all confined on a
They're stuck
floating
on a boat.
container. Yeah,
Yes.
there's no getting away from each other. When we in the
No.
army, yeah, we would hang out during the week. Come the weekend, we all scattered to the winds, unless we were out doing some type of training or anything like that, where everybody's got to stay, nobody can leave. And that goes for all the military branches, with the exception of the Navy. The Navy guys are stuck in a steel box out there in the ocean, and they can't get away from each other. They are living with each other 24/7. So yes, I think the way they go at each other is much different.
Hilarious. Like I have a friend that I've known for like 20 years, and his Navy stories of being on, I don't remember what kind of boat he was on, but his Navy stories of punking his friends mostly revolved around him trying to get them to look like communists for some reason. Like, and I think he might have put like a communist Russian pin on his supervisor's hat somehow, like sneaking into the naval office. I don't know, but it's like these ongoing pranks. And the worst pranks that you can get are played on you by your family. If you're in a military family, you also will be punked by your family. And my father is like currently still laughing from the grave, given that he did not name me Jessica. He named me Jessie. He thought that was like funny because he registered me as a male for the draft. And I think around the time the draft called me to ask why I had not registered, I was living in Europe. So I was on study abroad, and they contacted my mother and they said that I could, like, they'll tell you you're going to get arrested for not registering for the draft or whatever. So
Yeah,
not only
it's called selective service.
it's selective service, yeah, selective service. And I had to like validate my identity further than just having like a passport and a driver's license because my dad punked me by putting me on some kind of list.
But
So,
is it the way he spelled your name on your birth certificate?
oh, I get calls at my house all the time for Mr. Parker. Like, because it's, well, now Jesse is kind of like one of those fun gender bender names. It could be a boy or a girl. But when I was named Jessie, there was no girls named Jessie. I was like one of the first Jessies. And I think it was partly because my dad was disappointed I was born a girl. He did not want to have a girl. He was like ready to discharge his firearm into his brain as soon as I was born female because it was, back then when I was born, not every mom had an ultrasound. So, like, I think my father was completely convinced his firstborn child with his beautiful wife was going to be the heir of the family. So I was all set up to be named John Parker, and it just didn't work out that way. And he was mad. Oh my gosh, he was so mad. So, and then I kind of ended up being raised a little bit like a boy because he wanted a son. But I think that's actually good because I don't feel uncomfortable interacting with really anybody because my father socialized me to associate with kind of like anybody, whether they're, a veteran of the armed forces or a colonel or enlisted or somebody that's, an airman and basic training, like all these different variety of people. And I think that really helped me because fish keeping is so diverse. And it's also like it can be a little bit more of like, I think it's probably like 80-20 male to female. There's quite a bit more male hobbyists than female hobbyists. And I didn't even notice that I was like one of the rare girls in the bunch because my dad had socialized me to just hang out with anybody because he didn't really feel like um he, he didn't I'm not going to say he didn't see the gender differences. I think he didn't want to accept them, that he had like a girl on his hands. So he was like, okay, we're going to learn how to do everything everybody else does.
Well,
And
I think there's a little being a dad of a father of women or
yes,
girls. Well, women as a man, you want to make sure. I know for my daughters that they didn't have to depend on a guy to help them out. And what
that
I'm
was my
getting at,
dad.
and what I'm
Yes,
getting
that
at
was
is
my
the
dad.
following: if you're driving down the road, I want to make sure that you know how to change a tire on that car if you get a flat, so that you're not stranded there waiting for who knows who's going to pull up and try to help.
Yes.
It's those things where you think about it because you hear about the dangers that a lot of women get exposed to just because they're women, and
Oh
and
yeah, I
unfortunately,
totally agree. Yeah.
that's the reality.
I've
So
had I had this conversation just the other day on Instagram and with a couple of my friends, which is when you're female, there's like a certain expectation that there's going to be a number of problems, you know? Like I have a friend that's not she's a smaller girl and someone like tried to carry her off. And I don't think that would happen to like just the average guy. So
yeah,
my father, as a man that went through combat, I think he did have this sensitivity to preparedness. So all of us were raised to be very prepared. You know, like you said, I can change my own tire. I don't like it. I don't want to,
yeah.
but I did go to auto shop. I also took wood shop and I also like I do all the servicing on my aquariums, the filters, everything. I take it apart, I can put it together. Um, I think preparedness is just really something that was valued in my family.
Well, it's those things where I'm not saying that my daughters are going to be able to take on a guy, but in a moment of a situation where you need to react and think quick, at least they have enough of a skill set to be able to catch somebody off guard and be able to get away. And
Oh yeah,
that's all you can really ask for, because there's no way in hell that if you try to get into a confrontation, especially with a male, I don't care how big of a woman you are, more than likely he's going to overpower you. More
more
than
than
likely.
likely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, I also have, you know, things in my mind that my father would talk about certain, like he didn't feel women should brandish certain types of weapons because they were going to be disarmed too easily or something like that. So my father had certain, you know, beliefs and expectations, and he would constantly talk about them. And my dad wasn't a social guy, to say the least. He said very little, but when he did speak, it's like he would not talk for 7 days and then he would say something and it was so impactful you kind of remembered it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, that's why I think that's what I'm saying. That's why, just based on that story about him registering you for the selective service, I said, you know what, this man is. I can see a lot of him. I can see a lot of myself in him, and
Right,
what you're
right.
telling me, what he did with you, raising you, and how, he treated you like if you were a boy. All it was, it's just building character in you, knowing that you're
It's
going to
building
become.
character, yes. And for my father, it happened after his death, but it actually, like, my father's worst nightmare happened. Like, someone actually tried to force me into their vehicle once. And it was not a good situation. I probably would have had a very unfortunate end. But if I hadn't been aware of my surroundings, if I hadn't been observant, if I hadn't been thoughtful in how I handled myself in that situation, it could have gotten way, way worse. And one of the things my father was, like, I know this is going totally off the topic of fish keeping, but one of my things my father insisted on was never to get in the vehicle of somebody that you do not trust.
Yeah.
Whether it's a friend that's been drinking too much, or whether it's somebody you don't know, or even if it's like, it could be somebody that's an authority figure. You should not get in the car with anybody that you do not feel comfortable with. So that's one of the things that really rang in my mind is like, never get in the car with an assailant. Like, your life will get so much worse. And I think my dad really put this impression on me of, no matter how bad the situation is, if you get taken out of public for any reason, your situation just got deadly. Never leave public with anyone you don't know, period, end of story. Like, he would literally say, lay your life on the line to not be taken down that dirt road. Like, do not get in the car, do not, he was very serious about it. And I don't know that we have those conversations with kids anymore, but the world is still super creepy.
It's different. It's different because now the access to children is a lot easier.
Different. It's easier. It's very easy. Yeah.
Whereas before, there wasn't this social media where kids are on today. And I shake my head because I see my grandkids walking around with tablets and phones. And when they're here with us, we pull them. That's one of the rules here. You're here with us. You're only here for a day or two. You're going to interact with us.
Yes.
You can forget about that. If you want to watch something, I'll sit there and watch it with you, and we'll watch it together. But none of this isolation that a lot of these kids nowadays have, because that access has become easier for predators. Because
I agree, and it's very dangerous because somebody can be doing a head trip on your child and you don't even know it. Like, I guarantee if my father was alive today, I would not have a cell phone in my hand at the age of 7. Like, guarantee a no. And he would be probably reading it, like looking at my messages, getting in my business. Because both my mother and my father did not have a "we're going to be your friends" attitude. They had a "we're going to raise you to be alive by the time you're 18. So I made it to 18. Then they're like, okay, we're done with you. Get out. So it's just a really different environment now. And I am glad I grew up with no cell phone. I think that is what got me into things like fish keeping and hunting for crawdads down in the creek and catching my own first garter snake and doing all that, because there wasn't a whole lot to do. And
but I think it's not necessarily fair to say that, because here's the thing: when you and I were growing up, cell phone technology was relatively new.
Yes.
That being said, a cell phone was something that was very expensive to obtain. So unless you had the means to do it, very few people had that technology. As time has progressed, technology got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper to where now it's relatively affordable. Unless you're getting a high-end like a handheld computer, which is what basically cell phones are today, you can still get a lot of the functionality out of a cell phone for pennies on the dollar. So it's not uncommon now. Now everybody growing up has access to that technology. And it's funny because what I associated with is, dating myself. I remember when Atari first came out, Atari 2400.
Atari.
Not all the kids had a game console. So the few kids on the block that had them, they were like the coolest kids, and they were like the rich kids of the block. And it was, not that they were rich, but it's just being that situation that, they just, it wasn't something that our parents could necessarily afford. So, but that's what I associate us growing up with cell phones. Cell phones, I remember the common thing was to have a pager. That was like Everybody had a
Right,
pager.
right. I am pager
Everybody,
generation. Yeah, I had a pager. And you had a
everybody had a
bag of
pager.
quarter. You had to have a bag of quarters because there was payphones back then.
Yep. Well, and
Good
it was
luck
funny
finding one
because
now.
at first, you would when I think I remember the first time I ever saw a pager was on a TV show, and it was doctors. The doctors were the ones that were walking around with pagers,
Right,
and that you saw them on TV series because they had to be reached at a moment's notice. And then
right.
that kind of became urban, where
Urban, like
if you were a
street,
dealer,
street.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
uh-huh.
you were a dealer, you had a pager. So then you had a bunch of posers like myself that wanted to
Right.
look cool. We didn't have anybody that really needed to get a hold of us, but yet you still had a pager. And then you had the occasional friend that was such a poser that would turn it off and turn it on so that it would beep.
Oh, right. Okay.
And they would, like, oh, somebody's calling me. Nobody was calling you. They were just turning on and turning off your damn beeper. But,
Right.
it was one of those things where not everybody had them at first. The very few people that had them, they were pretty expensive. As technology progressed,
Yes.
it became cheaper. The plans for a pager were, it became to the point where it was so inexpensive that anybody could afford to have a paging service. And
Yeah. I
well, I
remember
think,
my first one was like $40 and it seemed like so much money at the time. Like $40 was a lot of money. And
yeah, but
I
that was
just
like for a year service. So it's,
no, it was $40 a month when I got my first pager. I remember
oh,
because I
okay.
had my first job working at like Macy's or something. Well, not my first job, but like a first retail job, like where
Yeah,
somebody might want to get a hold of you.
yeah.
And so I got my first pager and a bag of quarters, and I was off to the races.
Let's see. Coral's asking a question. So, at what age would you expect to memorize your phone number so that you could call? As a kid, I remember in kindergarten, that was one of the assignments.
Oh my gosh, I would teach my kids that as soon as they could talk.
Yeah, I remember in kindergarten, that was like before you even learned how to count or spell your name. I remember having to learn our phone numbers. That was
And the
kind of like,
address and your
yes,
address.
and your
So
parents' names.
and your parents' names. That's actually I didn't think of that because I'm not a parent, but I I think that would be really smart. I didn't realize that kids don't know their own phone number even. Like
Yeah,
you have a kid wouldn't even know their own number and then it's their own cell phone. So if you call so you would have to learn your parents' number and your own phone number. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not crazy. I could have sworn it was in kindergarten where we had to learn how to do it. That was like one of the very first things that I remember learning was
Yes.
you had to know your parents' name, your address, and your phone number.
Mhm.
And even I remember even teachers was but it's a whole different period in life because unlike today where kids are allowed to be disrespectful to teachers, I remember growing up, your teachers were basically your parents while you were there with them. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
what I mean by that is the respect that was expected from you towards them was the same that like your parents. So I think that's where one of the big social differences that exist today between students and teachers and parents. Um, Growing up as a kid on the block, if you were acting up and being a fool, it wasn't uncommon for anybody in the block to reprimand you for doing stuff you weren't supposed to be doing. And
Mhm.
the reprimand level was based on the friendship that they might have had with my parents, because some people just would call your attention or call your parents, and other ones had rights to beat the hell out of you if you were doing stuff you weren't supposed
Right.
to be doing. And
Right.
so that there's no way in hell that would happen today. As a matter of fact,
Right.
one of the biggest differences today is that I guarantee a lot of people don't even know their neighbors. They don't interact with their neighbors. Whereas before, it was you were walking down the street and hi, Mrs. Johnson, hi, Mr. Johnson. It was one of those things where if you saw, you gave them the greeting of the day. It was
Right.
expected.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody's just kind of, it's just another person. It's just another stranger. I don't know
Well,
if it's good or bad, but that's just noticeable difference that I can tell.
yeah, I live in a neighborhood where we are like the young kids. We're like the kids of the neighborhood because people only leave this neighborhood if they die or go into like specialized care. And so, literally, everybody, because it's all a bunch of seniors, they take walks every morning with their coffee and everybody waves to everybody else. We all know each other's names. We all know what's going on in the neighborhood. I have like a real neighborhood, but I didn't have that before. So that's like something that's new to me. And I think it's really cool. It's like we don't even need a neighborhood watch because we're just all watching each other's houses because we just all know, oh, well, this is around the time so and so goes on their walk. Why is there a weird person going in their house? You know, like we would just know that instantly. So it's different because I feel like I still have that neighborhood vibe, but I think it's because I'm in a much older neighborhood. My average neighbor is over 65 for sure, probably closer to 80.
Well, and I think it's just the older we get, the more settled we get into our lifestyle. Because I remember when my wife and I were younger, we were moving a lot more. A lot of it was based on the employment that I had, but we tended to live in multiple family complexes.
Okay, yeah,
So
me too, me too.
it was always ever changing. It
Hmm.
wasn't until maybe the last 10 years where that well, I'll tell you when it happened. Once the kids left the home, our lifestyle had totally changed and we became a little bit more settled, more permanent as to where we're staying at. That we didn't find that having to constantly be moving and changing.
Right.
And once you kind of establish roots at a place, that's where that also starts happening when you okay, now I'm here. I know I'm going to be here for at least this many years. You start getting to know the people you're surrounded by, and
Yes.
I think that's just it's just one of those things that tends to happen the older you get.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm really into fish keeping now because I feel like I have a more stable address, I guess you could say, because
Yeah,
when I was a kid, my mother's house was very stable, so I was able to have an aquarium. But when I moved out, you know that like time between 18 and 25 where you're kind of trying to figure it out and how am I going to make rent and what's my profession going to be and all that. I did not have an aquarium. So this is me getting back into the hobby because now I live at an address and I'm not kind of popping around to all these different cities anymore. It's it's not a great hobby if you're a little bit transient or have to move a lot. So if I was say like active in the military, I don't know that I would have an aquarium because I would be like, well, what if I got deployed? Like, what do I do? I know there are some people in the military that have aquariums, but I I shut down my fish keeping hobby for that time in my life where I was like under 30 looking for a place to get established, you know, my younger career years.
yeah. Well, I find this comment interesting that Jeff said that memorize numbers. Yes, I remember before the advent of it wasn't even cell phones, but before you could program numbers onto a phone, because I remember that became a thing that you could do it with house phones. You could program up to 8 numbers on the
Right, right
keypad
on the
phone.
dial. Okay.
But I remember I used to know a lot more phone numbers. Now, if you really press me, I can probably come up with three memorized numbers: my parents' home, my
My
wife's
parents'
number,
phone.
my
Yes.
wife's number and my number. I don't even have my kids memorize their phone numbers. And a lot of it is their fault too. That's going to be my caveat because for the longest time they kept changing numbers because I was kind of like every time they got a new cell service, it was a new
Right,
number.
right, right, right.
They
Because that's
haven't,
the thing about being a young person is you get a new phone number every year or whatever, you know?
yeah. So to this point now, I just have them on speed dial, what's even worse now is that you don't even have to have their numbers nowadays to be able to get a hold of them. Because I can get a hold of them on Instagram. I can get a hold of them
Instagram on the
on
video.
message,
You can get
on
them on
Messenger.
video. Mhm.
So that is so true. I don't nearly know as many numbers as I remember. There was a time where I could have probably recalled at least 20 numbers. And it would have been my
Wow.
friends. It would have been my friends. I had to know all my friends' phone numbers. There was no way that I was not going to be able to uh, not memorize those. And then, your employer, you always knew your employer's number. Today,
Right, right.
I don't know my work number. It's programmed in there from the first day that I came into work for the reception. And that's the last time I ever looked at that number.
Right. People don't really use the phone that much. Like,
well, not that way. It's funny. You don't use the phone to make phone calls anymore.
no, you don't. No.
It's mostly it's either going to be a text or it's going to be a video conference call with somebody. But yeah, it's true. You hardly ever nowadays. I equate my phone calls to being spam mail. You know how when you
Right,
used to go to
right,
the
yeah.
mailbox and it was nothing but advertisements. Well, that's what my phone's become now. My phone number,
Right.
if I get a call, more than likely it's somebody trying to sell me something versus somebody trying to get a hold of me. Because nowadays, if somebody's trying to get a hold of me, it's either going to be on a DM or it's going to be an email or something like that. It's not going. It's seldom ever a call from somebody, which is crazy that we carry phones, but in reality, they're used for everything else other than a phone.
Right. Right.
All right, so we got a few more people that have come in here since the last
Oh,
hour.
cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
we
new
have
guest.
Pelham Aquatics is here. Lefty 123, lots of numbers as John from KG Tropicals calls them. Lobster Life Paco, how you doing, Paco? We have
Hello.
CS House of Fish Keeping. That's Corey from Michael
Hey,
Aquarium
Corey.
and Troy.
What's up? I met him.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's right. This last
I'm
Taco
gonna
Show
have
that
to
you
meet
went to.
him. I'm gonna have to meet him again though because I have the new stickers. Did you hear about my new stickers?
Yes. Why don't you tell us about your new stickers?
Okay, I made these new stickers. They're only for people that make a a time and a place to meet me in person whenever I'm in their city. So if I'm at an Aquashella near you, or if there we go. It's just a really pretty glitter sticker. It's the CorydorableCaliAquariums logo that I had made by an excellent designer when I first got into Instagram.
Who does your
And
stickers? Who do you use?
so for my stickers, there's two people. I use Sticker Mule, and then also there's the Sticky Chick on Instagram who does
Okay.
smaller orders. So depending on how many you want, like, and how soon you need them, or what sizes and quantities, I go to those two sources. The Sticky Chick on Insta, who is actually, I believe, the partner of a fish keeper, and then also Sticker Mule. If anybody's watching, I have like a $10 coupon on that. And so I love just giving that away. It's on my LinkedIn and everything else. But I get these made there. These were from Sticker Mule, and they had these cool glitter stickers they were launching. And I'm like, I have to get these. I don't know what I'm going to use them for, but I have to have them. And
Did
so
you
I just,
design that logo?
no. Okay, I did and I didn't. Okay. So, okay, I'm trying to think. The guy's name is Deck. He's on Insta, and he is an amazing logo designer. He's done a number of logos in the aquarium hobby.
Yes.
And when I saw his logos, I was like, yes, that's what I want. And I said, I knew exactly what I wanted. I said I wanted a Steraby Corydora on Anubias leaves, like jumping out of the Anubias kind of. And I wanted girly writing. So I was like, I want like scrolly cursive writing or something. And then I said, make it look girly. So he made it like hot pink. It was his idea to do a hot pink background.
Oh, okay.
So I just
Hey,
thought
George.
when he did my logo, he nailed it like right away. And it was it was a longer process, but it was an easy process working with him, and his creative direction was amazing. So I would 100% work with him again.
Yeah, because I noticed that there's a lot of stylistically, a lot of the stickers that I see on Instagram
Yes.
follow the same kind of style. but they're all
It's
different. They're
deck.
all very different. So I was wondering who it was that was doing it for you guys, because it had to be
Yes.
somebody that you guys were all going to.
Yeah, it's deck. So his handle is like a random series of letters. So if anybody needs his handle, just message me and I will direct you to him. There is a wait list typically to get deck. So I started working on him like 3 months before I even got my sticker, because I was like, hey, put me on your wait list. Hey, I want to be on the wait list. Don't forget to put me on the wait list. I just kept reminding him. And finally I got my logo and it was exactly what I wanted.
Here's Aquaballs is asking, is he the guy from Indonesia?
He is I don't know if he's in Indonesia. He might be in RJ would know. RJ would know. He's in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
I think he's in Thailand. But yeah, in that area.
Hey, look at who we have here.
And hey, what's up, Emma? We were talking about you.
Yeah, calling us boomers. We're gonna have a little chat with you.
Yeah, seriously, I'm never gonna forget that, girl. I owe you big time.
So,
but the reason they called me a boomer is because I tell so many Gen Z jokes, because I have to talk about the Gen Z mindset, because my co-host RJ is Gen Z. And so we have like a big age gap, and I love just cracking jokes about Gen Z because, it's fun. My sister is Gen Z too. And yeah. Yeah. Hey, Zen.
Mandy is asking if the person that made the logos, is it DPX?
No, it's Deck. His name is DEK. And I will look him up right now. It's and I'll
RJ, can you find, does he
he doesn't
RJ
know. I don't think he knows, because I don't think we didn't have the show yet when I made my logo. Because when I found the fish community, I had to immediately jump in on this logo idea. I'm like, I want a logo for my fish room. I know that's kind of frivolous, but I wanted it. And so I got it probably within 3 months of joining Instagram. And I'm going to pull him up for you right now. He also designs t-shirts and websites, I think. But
okay.
But he really prefers, in my mind, to work with the logos. Do you know who's doing websites now? I feel like we should totally talk about this.
RJ
has started becoming
I'm gonna get rid of this then. Well, you need to drop your link.
Yeah, RJ, drop. Is it Ralphie Joe Designs? Is that because he is working on his own website? He's working on the CorydorableCaliAquariums website, and he has his first client. So he is like full steam ahead with this website thing. And so if I got another logo, like if we ever changed anything, I would have him work with that, because he's such a natural at graphic design, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
we're gonna have to talk, because I need to get some. I need to get my logo digitized.
Yes. Get your logo digitized. Did you design yours?
It's. I was watching like a YouTube thing where they were talking about branding.
Okay.
And that's why I went with mine, with being monochromatic, simple, black and white.
I like yours. So yours looks really original to me, and it really stands out. So I like that you designed your own. I am aware that mine looks a little similar to others, because it's in the style of my graphic artist. And that was the style I wanted. I wanted it to look like his style. I don't know how to describe it, other than I just knew when I saw him, he was the designer for me. And I think mine looks a little different than some other ones, because I was very specific about what I wanted. Yeah. I didn't give him a ton of room for creative license, which maybe I would think if I was a graphic designer, I would want to be a lot creative, but I think it's also helpful to know what the client is looking for specifically. And I knew like down to the fish exactly what I wanted on my logo.
Well, that helps, I guess, when somebody's trying to design something to be able to get the
Right.
vision that you're looking for is as much detail as you can provide them.
Right.
So, going to the name, Corydorable. You gotta.
Corydorable.
Why Corydorable of all the names that are out there?
I know. Well, I kind of, if you didn't guess already, I kind of made it up. And the reason I made up that name is because I was ordering this live catfish from Aquahuna. And I was so nervous about receiving these Sterabi Corydoras that I was kind of obsessed with. I was kind of obsessed with the Sterabi Corydora and couldn't get them locally here. I don't live, my nearest fish store is about an hour away. It's in the next county. So I don't have, all I have is a big box store. We don't have a local fish store. We do have a pet store that has maybe 4 or 5 aquariums. And there's another fish store that I don't shop at anymore. Long story, but it was a huge deal for me to order online. I was not thinking I could get live animals. I picked Corydora as my favorite fish at the time. So Corydorable, adorable, because I have a pet named Adora. So I was I liked the adorable part. And then Corydorable was already taken. So I was kind of upset about that. Yeah, I was like, it's already taken by this other chick who's like a makeup artist for special effects makeup. And I was like, I should write to her at some point and be like, girl, can I have this username? But so I just added. No, she's on. She makes videos, but not recent. Hasn't made videos in years. And so then I added the California part, Cali, because I was like, okay, well, to me, the first thing I want to know about a fish keeper is where are they located? And the reason I want to know that is because I want to know what are their water conditions, what are the trends in fish keeping in their area, is their water hard, soft, high pH, low pH? You know, like I'm interested in people's water quality. It's really weird, but I like start to think, oh, you're in that area of New York where they have extremely soft water, right? And people are like, how do you know that? I'm like, because I have to ask everybody where they live. I want to know where you live and I want to know your water parameters. Do you know your TDS? Do you know your pH? You know, what nitrates do you have in each one of your tanks? Anything, I'm interested in it. So I just really, really was interested in finding out where each person lived and the water quality. And then I just started like memorizing details.
So do you still currently keep Corydorables? I mean, Corydorables.
I
Corys?
do.
And how many species
I
are
do.
you keeping?
So I would have to count the species. It's probably like 10, probably
Okay.
10. And I probably have like 400 or 500 total. Because I have a good chunk of them in each tank. So I have like 10 to 20 in each of my tanks.
Okay.
And I probably have 40 in some tanks. So I did rehome some of them because I was doing some breeding projects, but I think I was up to like 300 or 400 for a minute there.
Yeah. Mandy's asking to give us an update on the guppy tower.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys haven't been seeing the guppy tower a lot. I completely need to clean the guppy tower and the entire patio that is out there. So we're doing the house I live in is like kind of a work in progress. So we're that family that moves from one room to the next to remodel the room behind us. So we're just remodeling stuff like here and there. And so I had to put all of my remodel furniture and everything out on the patio. So I haven't even been out there in weeks to take pictures. So coming soon. It's coming soon. The guppy tower is up. It is running. I just have not been recording it as much as I should.
Rico Stan says that there was another Corey Dorable a couple of years ago too, and that she was from Canada, but it was
Like
Corey
a fish
Dorable.
keeper? A fish keeper Corydorable?
I don't know if it's, but they shared the same name.
Okay, yeah, no, there's I know I saw the Corydorable makeup artist. I I don't know if I've seen anybody that has a name close to mine though. But I do know all the guys in the hobby started getting teased called Corydorable if their name was Corey when I got in the hobby.
They're asking if the girl that did makeup on fish.
She doesn't, but she actually does FX makeup, which is special effects makeup. So she can make you look like a werewolf or like a flower horn. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, be a flower horn for Halloween. She can do that.
All right. So we know the situation with the name on YouTube. I've noticed that you really haven't been doing much on YouTube.
No.
Are you planning to start doing stuff again on YouTube, or are you mostly solely focused on Instagram?
So I'm here 100% for the fun. So I was starting to feel like sometimes the longer content of YouTube and like saying, oh, I should do both, or feeling like I had to do both was kind of like a lot. And so I just was having a lot more interactions, I think, on my posts on Instagram. So I just kept posting there where YouTube kind of the long content I was making, like the 20-minute to 1 hour content I was recording. I'm not doing that as much. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it. I'm not saying I don't want to do it. I just haven't been because I've been focused on other stuff like the show. I love Friday Night Live. That's every Friday at 7 p.m. on Insta Live. And it's been going on for like a year, and I've been prioritizing that. I do prioritize taking care of my fish over anything. So if I don't post any fish content for a long time, that probably means I'm behind on my aquarium maintenance, and I don't want to feel like a big, huge hypocrite, like taking pictures of my tanks unless I feel like they're at their best and the fish are at their happiest and everything is great. Because if I'm spending an hour making content instead of an hour taking care of my live animals, I kind of feel like guilty about that. So I do prioritize like actually maintaining the tanks, which is why we're doing water change Wednesday now. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be doing on CorydorableCaliAquariums on IG. We're going to be doing a chat and chill or whatever you want to call it, because that's how our Insta show Friday Night Live started. So Friday Night Live was just like a chat and chill aquarium live. And then what we had to do was we started getting a lot of viewers. So we started planning the shows a little more. Looks like he had to step off for a minute. So we started planning the shows a lot more, which means we had a little more structure on Friday nights. And that meant we weren't able to like chat and chill with as many people. So we're going to be doing Wednesday nights, which is going to be like an interactive, have 2 or 3 friends on the live stream. And then also everybody can be in the comments. We can all be asking each other questions. It's not going to be a show format. So anybody that wants to can just like show up for whatever. It's like going to be a free for all.
Yeah.
With the topic of fish.
Yeah. One of the things that I have noticed is the format for live streaming on Instagram is a little bit different.
Yes.
What I don't like about it is that it's very limited
yes.
when you're how many people you can have up at once. That's
yes.
the only downside to it that I see. What is kind of neat.
Oh yeah, I have like 5 other downsides I could bring to your attention, but I won't.
No, but I'm talking about for the most part, and the other one. Well, the upside to it is that it's wide open. There's not a lot of people that are doing live streams currently.
I know.
Instagram. So
there aren't, but it's actually so. I'm surprised at how many people come to Friday Night Live. I actually get.
Well, I'm not.
You're not.
Because and that's what I was trying to get at the day that I told Ralphie that he needed to stream when you were going to make it, was
Okay.
because it's becoming a point now that it's getting programmed throughout the community that
Aw,
Friday
right?
nights is the time to come out and hang out.
Yes.
And it's not just the people that are on the live stream. It's like what we're doing right now in our community here in this chat. Even though they're here watching you and I speak, there's a whole dialogue that's taking place within the chat. And that's
Yes.
everybody just kind of, it's kind of the excuse to come together. And then it's
It
kind of like a
is.
party. It's like when you go to a party, you're not always talking just to the host of the party. You're talking with everybody else that came to the party, and that's the way I look at it.
Yes.
So it becomes one of those things where you look forward to the fact that every Friday night, if you're available, you're going to go and hang out, because not only are you going to be able to hang out with Jesse and RJ and Tina and the guest that's on, but you get
The
to talk to
guest.
everybody else that's on the chat and
In
carry
the
on the chat.
chat. And they're continual conversations, which is like we're still talking about things that happened 6 months ago. So it's kind of like a little bit of catch up for people that have not been to the show. It probably feels a little bit like, what are these conversations? But we do our best to like explain any of the inside conversations, like who is Peter the fish and why did Peter get forgotten by RJ? Like, we'll explain that to you if you come to the show and you say, hey, what's going on with Peter the fish? We will tell you, because it's an ongoing joke. But I have had so much fun with Friday Night Live because so many people have, like, I don't consider it my show. I consider it like the community live show, because people don't come to see me. They come to see everybody. They come to see
No, no,
they come to see their friends. They come
don't
to
be
see
mistaken.
everybody.
They
Okay.
do come to see you because you are the host of the stream.
Right.
Same reason we go to anybody else's stream. We're going there
Right.
because they're the host of the stream, and we like what they're doing. That's gonna. I mean, that's a given.
Yes.
But it's also what you're bringing to the table. The guests that you're having on, the conversations that are taking place, the learning, because there's a lot of learning. You have a lot of guests that come on with very niche experience in certain areas, and even though you've never contemplated, let's say, keeping a tannin tank, well, now you get to hear that conversation as to what it's like to have a black water tank, and what are the benefits of having black water in your tank, and maybe some fish really do require that type of water to be able to breed. So you start learning all these things that you were not aware of. And I think that's what's so neat. And what's nice about it is because on Instagram, Friday nights, that's the only thing that's going on at that time. There isn't a lot of other options within the community that are happening.
That's why I did it, because I was like, hey, I'm always bored on Friday nights. That was my dilemma. Every Friday night, I was doing the same thing. I was bored and making RO water. I don't know, Emma. She says one of the beavers says it's a cult. It's not a cult, I promise. We do pray, but we are not a cult. It's been a really special experience because I feel like so many people from the community have contributed. Because for me, it was a lonely night, a lonely, boring Friday night making RO water all by myself. I was like, if only I had some cool friends to make RO water with. And then I started hosting the lives.
What I'm finding really interesting, and what I'm really happy to see, is I'm starting to see, as much as I've talked about going onto Instagram, now we're starting to see regulars that are usually we're just on YouTube. But for example, Vibes Aquatics, Eddie, he's starting to become a regular appearance on your stream.
I know. Fun.
I thought I saw Foxy the other day.
Right.
And I think Peplum was on, Skipper was on. So you start, a lot of these names that we're really familiar with within YouTube are coming over too. So we're starting to get that crossover. It's funny that I'm calling it that, but that's really what it is. And like right now, MC, that's office, and from Instagram. Emma Rose, that's one of the
In-
Beavers from Instagram.
Insta.
So it's really nice that we're starting to see that crossover. I don't know why it hadn't happened before, because at the end of the day, we're all fish keepers in
We're
this
all
community.
fish keepers. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so now we're realizing, wait a minute. I mean, I was living in this little circle, but our circle is really this big. So why
It's
not?
really big.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why not move out and venture out? And there's more people you get to know. There's a lot of other things that you're seeing. And what I do notice about Instagram is that it tends to be more global too, because I see people
Yes.
from Asian countries coming into your stream. I see people from Europe coming into your stream. I see people
Yes.
from Mexico, from South America. I mean,
The Middle East. The Middle
Yeah.
East fish keeping is huge. Like followings when it says like countries are countries from the Middle East. Which I don't think fish keeping is that big there. I think they're fascinated by our fish keeping because it's not big there. So it's kind of like, whoa, it's like blowing minds.
Yeah. So that's one of the things. And I know I've been pushing it ever since I started coming on and doing streams. And I've always, at first, I couldn't understand why there was so much reluctance from some of the bigger channels like Drew. I kept telling Drew, Fishy Biz, dude, you need to start doing stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
But being that I was a real small channel, I really didn't have a lot of say. I mean, what I was saying didn't hold a lot of weight because I didn't have a way to prove it. But I think one of the reasons why I've been able to obtain the number of subscribers that I currently have is because I am doing that. I'm trying to reach over
Yes.
to the other
Yes.
aisle and making friends over there and bringing them over. And you're not going to see. I don't know if it used to be a thing where people would pick up like 10, 20 subscribers a day. But one thing that I did notice throughout, and even today, is if I look at my analogs, it's always one or two every day, one or two every day.
Right. It's a little trickle at first. And I would say for those people that are going to do this, YouTube is a little harder to get your start in and get numbers and, than Instagram. Like Instagram, you can kind of start interacting right away. In YouTube, it's a little hard for people to find you at first because
but I
Instagram,
think,
you can really like contact people. YouTube, not as much. Like Instagram has the DM feature. I wish YouTube had DMs. If YouTube had DMs, that would be so cool.
Yeah, well, they sort of do, but it's the way you get exposed. That's the difference. I think
Right.
And the reason I say they sort of do, because in the comments of your videos, they can leave you a message, and you get to see all the comments unless you decide to turn them off. And that's how you can interact. That's how I interact with a lot of people that'll leave comments on my videos. That's a way that I communicate with them on YouTube if they don't have an Instagram or a Messenger or something else, an alternative form of communication. But I think for anybody that's trying to grow their channel, they should really take an opportunity of what's out there. You're already doing the work anyways.
Right.
Right now, if you're on YouTube and you're doing shorts, there's really no reason why you're not posting those same shorts on Instagram.
On a reel, right?
Yeah, on a reel, or vice versa. If you're doing stuff on Instagram, there really is no reason why you're not taking that same video and putting it on YouTube, because it's going out to a different group of people, and it's creating that much more exposure for yourself. If growing your channel is your goal, then there should be no reason why you're not doing that. There should be no reason why you're not live streaming on Instagram. There should be no reason why you're not live streaming on TikTok. So if your goal is to get as many subscribers as possible, then you should be doing that. One of the things that I'm very impressed with what you've been able to do. I remember when I first contacted you on Instagram, I was pretty impressed for the numbers you had then, which was right around 2,000. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of followers. But you go look at it now a year later, you're what, over 20K?
31.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like
And
over a year.
that's with all the problems I've had because I've been banned from Insta like for a total of like 20% of the time I've been on Insta. So I've been banned for unfollowing, I've been banned for using absurd hashtags. I was cracking myself up writing all these funny hashtags like hashtag absurd hashtag. If you use absurd hashtag, you may get banned. I'm just warning you because I did. And people say, oh, that can't happen. It did. It did. So I just, I think my account really took off when I had 2 viral videos. I think that's when it got pretty big. Recently I've had my account like declining, but I don't look at my numbers too much because it would probably make me go nuts because I'm a numbers girl. I'm from the sales world, so I would keep track of that kind of stuff and go nuts. So I don't even look at it.
Yeah, let me address this real quick for
Oh,
Leslie.
sure.
Um, yeah, no, what I'm saying is, yeah, if you post it with the watermark, in other words, you do the direct post from Reels to YouTube or from TikTok to YouTube, yeah,
Yes,
they don't like that. But since you already have that content,
on your
all you got
phone.
to do is just this is what I do. I'll take the same clip and create a reel with it, but I won't have it directly linked to my YouTube. I'll take that same clip and post it as a short and then do it through the YouTube platform. And then I'll take exactly that same clip and I'll take it to TikTok. And TikTok has got some other apps, AI apps that'll take that same clip and they'll give it their own little flair where you get all these
Hmm.
effects. And so I'll just let them do that. It's basically the same content, but I've let each one of those platforms do their own thing that they know how to do with it and post it. I am making 3 distinct posts, but it's the same footage that I already did.
Right. And that's what I did. So if I was telling anybody how to start out, what I would do if I was a new person is I would reserve the same username on Insta, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, just get them all and do a little bit of content on each and see where you feel comfortable and which community you fit in with the most, which content you enjoy creating the most. I just kind of found this little niche in Instagram by accident and I just have had such a blast with it. I think the reason I probably prefer Insta a little bit more is it's a little easier to contact people directly for like networking and stuff like that. It's got the social media aspect, but also the reels and the content. I just really enjoy the platform. So if somebody was starting out today, I would say try all of them and see where you enjoy posting the most, where your stuff takes off, where it's fun. I know a lot of people are going to TikTok. TikTok kind of makes me a little nutty. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I
I
can't,
I'm really
yeah,
just posting ghost. I
I
don't even
cannot do TikTok. I cannot do
I
TikTok. It
just
gives me
posting
a
ghost
migraine.
and it's not. I'll just take that footage, put it on there. I don't ever go back and look at anything else. I'm basically recycling all the material I'm using on Instagram and YouTube and just kind of dropping it down there. Um,
Right.
Not because I'm really active on TikTok, but I'm gonna be honest. Where it has helped me is now that I've been trying to do the Spanish content and I've been doing collabs with the channels down in
Right.
Mexico. A lot of the hobbyists from Mexico are very familiar with TikTok. So that's where I'm getting a lot of those new members to my channel is through the TikTok. So when I do a collaboration with somebody from Mexico, the recognition of my name is oftentimes from the TikTok videos that they see on there.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, it's funny because depending on what part of the world you're at, it's the platform that gets used the most. Um, you know,
Okay.
so like one thing for communications, I know here we like to use either TikTok or Messenger that was from Facebook.
Yeah. Right.
But the minute you leave the American, the U.S., everything's WhatsApp. All
Oh, that's
communication
right.
happens
That's right. Yeah. My
through
international
WhatsApp.
friends are WhatsApp. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's but you don't learn that stuff unless you are messing around with all the other medias that
Right.
are out there that you learn and you start picking this up because you start watching a lot of these videos that are hobby related, and the first thing you're going to see if you want to get a hold of me, here's my WhatsApp number, and that's how
Right.
they communicate. And I
Right.
just find it real interesting that the way I've spoken to people from Africa. I had a guy from Africa on TikTok that reached out to me because he had some questions regarding plenums, and
Mm,
so it's amazing how more communication. And I think that's what it's exactly what you mentioned, that there's that DM quality, the direct message, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, that somebody sees something and go, oh, let me send them a message and ask them a question about this or that. Whereas
right.
in YouTube, you have to leave the comment and you have to hope that the person reads the comment.
Reads it and responds, and then you have to see the message. Like, I just like having a private inbox, to be honest, because like sometimes I don't want anything to be like, what if I'm gonna send somebody a private message about some personal business? Like I want to make real friends.
Yeah,
I
and
wanted I
the
wanted to have
downside,
real friends on here.
yeah, the downside to that is you're going to get spam.
Yes,
Because
yes.
everybody has direct access to you. You are going to get a lot of spam, but
I
you
do.
know,
I get like 10 spams a day on Insta, but it's fine. Like it's mostly I get the same three spams like all day long. It's like
uh,
I get the ones for modeling jewelry. I don't know why I don't have a jewelry page, but I get like these offers to model jewelry like daily. I think they just send it to anybody that's on Insta regularly. And then what's the other scam I get a lot? Because there's a couple on there. I think the other one is like pets. I get a lot of pet stuff.
I get
That has
a lot of overseas wholesalers, importers that are trying to.
Oh yeah, like will you buy catappa leaves? Do you want to import guppies? All that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
that's predominantly what I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we've been on here for almost 2 hours, so before
I
we wrap
know.
it
We could
up,
just like talk all the time. Because
I want you to tell us a little bit about your sponsor, because it's not a
oh,
little sponsor. It's a sponsor that we all wish we could have. There you go.
let's see. This is my newest surprise from Fritz. It's a Fritz Industries aquarium towel. So I'm super excited because Fritz sent me a package, totally a surprise, that has their newest product in it. It's called RO Recharge. And they also sent me this cool like aquarium towel, which is for Wednesday night water changes. I'm gonna see if we could do something fun, like with Emma, one of the Beavers, was suggesting doing like like we wear water change shirts or like wear logo shirts or something. I think that would be really fun. And I want to do something with Fritz, either with like the water change towels or something, because I love giving stuff away. I do giveaways all the time. But they are really talking about this new product, RO Recharge. And I love this because there's not a lot of products like it on the market. So this is an RO reverse osmosis or RODI reverse osmosis deionization water remineralizer. So you would add this to your like almost zero TDS water and you would remineralize it to the degree that you want it to be, the hardness that you prefer, the KH, the GH. And this product is like, I'm not aware of very many competitors for this product. So I'm reading all about this because I just got it in today. And Fritz has been amazing. I
Mhm.
can't say enough things about them that are wonderful. I have wanted to get some type of relationship going with them since my first giveaway. So the way I got Fritz, I'm guessing people probably want to know like how to get their own sponsor, right? The way I started working with Fritz is when my account hit a certain level of followers. I was like, shoot, what am I going to do now? now I have people watching my aquariums. What am I going to do to entertain them? And I was like, okay, well, people like free stuff. Maybe I could try a giveaway. I've heard people do those on Insta. So I contacted like 10 or 15 manufacturers to say like, oh, hey, do you want to sponsor a giveaway with me? Well, so many of them got back to me. I was surprised. I got a lot of positive responses. I contacted my favorite brands first. Fritz was on the list. And I had so much fun doing my giveaway with Fritz that I just wanted to work with them more and more. I already use their products as a fish keeper. So I am not asking anybody to spend money on anything I wouldn't spend money on myself. And I fully stand behind Fritz products, like even before I was sponsored by them. They have a wonderful line of medications. We were talking earlier about my preparedness. Before being sponsored by Fritz, I literally had like every Fritz medication on hand just for an emergency. So it's been a blast working with them. I went to my first Aquashella in Dallas in this year. So that was, what month was that? Like May?
Mm-hmm.
That was a blast. So much fun. I can't wait to do it again. Aquashella Daytona. I am pretty sure I'm going to be there with Fritz. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be. We were talking about it just the other day. So God willing, I will be at Aquashella Daytona. And yeah, if you come to Aquashella Daytona, anybody that's watching this, ask me for the glitter sticker. You have to come up and ask me for the special limited edition sticker if you want that one, because it's like in my wallet, it's hidden. So yeah.
So do you have any other merch besides the stickers?
For me, I don't, but I really want to do shirts. So okay, I'll tell you what I have, because I got a bunch of merch made for Aquashella, but I didn't give it all out. So I have buttons. I have stickers. Okay, I have wristbands, which are going to be for Aquashella. They're CorydorableCaliAquariums wristbands. And I got some personal stuff made for me. I'm working with Tampa Fish Gents on Instagram to do some new merch.
Okay.
They do they're on Instagram, and one of them, it's partners that are running Tampa Fish Gents, is a logo gear designer. So he has this amazing catalog of basically all the merchandise you could ever want. And he can do anything from like golf balls to coffee tumblers to pens to bags. If you tell him I want bags for Aquashella, he'll give you 50 options. It's like it's like almost too many options, but he knows so much about each option that he can really lead you to which one to select. So we're designing our Aquashella Daytona shirts with logo gear. I think that's the name of the company that Tampa Fish Gents works for. And so we're gonna do aquascaping t-shirts for Aquashella for Team Corydorable, because we kind of pre-negotiated aquascape somehow. I don't know where it's going to be. I don't know who it's going to be for, but we're putting together a tank as an Instagram team. So everybody that's going to Instagram or YouTube, if you want to DM me, anybody that's going to Aquashella, just let me know, because I love meeting up with people. I do coffee every morning with the people from IG and YouTube. It's super fun.
All right. Well, with that being said, I know I actually got to go to work in a little bit.
Okay, you got to go to work. I can talk your ear off all day. Yeah.
I know. So tell us again, what are your two streamings are you going to be having from now on Instagram, and what time?
Okay.
And what day?
Water Change Wednesday. And the reason my streams are so late is because I do work. So I have to be home and be ready. And like, that's a time I can commit to. Like on Friday nights at 7 p.m., I found myself never having a meeting, never having an appointment, and having nothing to do. So like I could commit to that time, and RJ could commit to that time, and Tina could commit to that time. So we did Fridays. So Fridays at 7 is our show. We do community mosh pit, where we have a bunch of just like random people from the community come on and show their tanks. We're going to do a YouTube mosh pit of a bunch of YouTubers, just like our favorite YouTubers come on the show. Well, I shouldn't say my favorites because I'm going to do some of the people that have not been on my show. So I want to do people from YouTube that have not been on the show yet. So I want to do a YouTube mosh pit. And then, of course, we're going to try this Water Change Wednesday. I don't know if that's going to be a time that works for most people, but it's going to be every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I know that's kind of late, but it's the time I have available. And hopefully people show up to just chat and chill.
Well, one of the things that I've always said that I've always found fascinating is that it doesn't matter what time you go live, whether it's
That's
on YouTube,
true.
whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, there's always somebody watching.
Somebody.
And I know this for a fact because I haven't seen him here, but Craig from Australia,
Catfish Cave, Craig's Catfish Cave. Yeah,
I mean,
he's always live
for
in the
us
middle
here
of the
in
night.
States, it's in the middle of the night. For him, it's in the day. But I go to his stream, and there's always a bunch of us there. So
I go sometimes too, and I love it when people from the UK and Australia, I love it when they go live because I regularly have insomnia. So I'm up, like if anybody gets DMs from me at 2 a.m, I'm really up watching lives on Instagram and YouTube. Yeah. I'm like messaging people at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep or whatever. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to be here today.
Yes,
and like you
of
said,
course.
We could carry on. I mean, we do it on Friday nights whenever I'm up there with you guys.
Yes.
We go on for hours and hours and hours. Thank you. I appreciate you taking some time out and joining me here today. And, hopefully we'll start seeing some more stuff on your YouTube channel too.
Yes. Well, you're very welcome. It's been my pleasure being here. I love coming on your show. I love Fish Plants y Más, which is on every other Saturday. We should mention, and I am the moderator. So when I am in me and RJ moderate Fish Plants y Más every other Saturday morning. And that is also a really cool other stream. We consider you guys like our sister stream. We always say that, like, oh, Fish Plants y Más, catch our sister stream tomorrow, because we have such a great reciprocal relationship of you coming on our show. We've been on your show. You've had RJ on. You were like the first person to contact me ever. I was like, somebody wants to talk to me about fish keeping? That's so weird.
Who's this old creep guy trying to reach out?
And you were like saying like, oh, well, we're interested in featuring a fish keeper. And I was like, me? I was completely confused, but I was so honored, and it was so fun being on the show with you tonight. And we have to have you on Friday Night Live or Water Change Wednesday again soon.
Yeah. And speaking of people that I follow that are not only from the States, but from other parts, Efren Villegas. Efren Villegas, he's a pediatrician surgeon that has a YouTube channel in Mexico. He speaks English also. Efren, he speaks Spanish predominantly. That's his native language. He's been keeping fish for over 20 years. And he runs the gamut from saltwater, freshwater. So if you guys are looking to feature a hobbyist and you've never reached out, I would really recommend you guys reaching out to Efren Villegas, a knowledgeable man, a great man, a fun dude to hang out with.
And he's located where?
In the city of Mexico.
Okay, so like about my same time zone. And then you said he's a pediatrician or a veterinarian?
He's a pediatrician surgeon. So he does surgeries on babies. That's that's his specialty. And he's always traveling all over the world, giving speeches on his procedures and stuff that he does and the operations. But just a down-to-earth guy, world of knowledge when it comes to breeding fish. He for the longest years he's been breeding clownfish. He's one of the first guys in Mexico to be able to do that. I mean, there isn't a topic that you can't carry on with him. I've learned so much just from listening to him and the conversations that we've had. I was fortunate enough to be a guest on his live stream.
Wow.
He goes on every Sunday. his live streams on Sundays are in Spanish, but he's fluent in English. He speaks
Okay.
English fluently. So
Cool. Very cool. I
so
love
that's
anybody that's bilingual. I feel like it's so useful. I have tried to be bilingual myself. It's not working for my thinker. I had to give up because I can speak a little bit of Spanish. I understand what you guys are saying, but I cannot get the memorization down for enough vocabulary to support myself to have a conversation. So I just keep trying, but bilingual is for somebody else. I can't do it all. But yeah, I would love to have him on the show. We're also looking at booking Dr. A, who
okay.
I think you know him really well. Has he been on your show or just Skippers or both?
No, he's been on Fish Patsy Mas.
Okay, yeah. I think I saw him on Skippers first and then your show, and then I bought a bunch of fish from him during the Fish Fam auction because he had these amazing Corydoras that I had not even. I bid on Corydoras like sight unseen, not even knowing what the species was. I was just like, I have to have these Corys I've never even heard of. Like, yes. So I'm like at Costco on the auction bidding like all this money I don't have because I had to have these random Corydoras. So it was a great experience. He does the trips to Peru, and he raffles one off each year. So if you can't afford to go to Peru, consider buying a raffle ticket. It supports his nonprofit.
Yep. Yeah, and right now they're actually looking for some help because they've had some issues with some aquariums, and there's a big old story. But they are looking for
okay.
some financial support. Anybody?
Well, let me know about that. Yeah, let me know because like maybe we need to do like some kind of community like fundraiser thing or auction or I don't know what, but if they have something going on, because that's the thing is that it's like Dr. A and his wife and all their efforts plus their team, but there's not like a huge corporation behind them. So I can't even imagine how much expense and effort has gone into creating that nonprofit. But one of the things I want to do is I really want to introduce Dr. A around to see if we can get more support. I think people don't even know they can like straight up go there and be like an intern at the center for a week and stuff like that, which is so cool. Like if I was a 25-year-old college kid, I would love to intern in Peru. I would probably just quit my job and move down there and be using the seine net to catch Corydoras all day long. I would be like this nutcase catching Corydoras.
All right. Well, I know we could go on for hours, but I do need to jump off. I got to hang out with my wife a little bit before going to work. And
well, tell her I said hi.
Emma and RJ are giving us a hard time because this is like the longest goodbye.
Goodbye.
But thank you, Jess. I know this could go on for hours, but I do have a couple other things to do. I'll reach out to Dr. Anthony and let him know you're trying to get a hold of him.
Yeah, actually, he messaged me today, so I did talk to him. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for these last 2 hours, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.